Christian came up to me yesterday. So a Christian came up to me yesterday. He says, Jesus loves you. He said, does he really? How much does he charge for a blowjob? He didn't take that one nicely. I said, how much does he charge for a blowjob then? Christian walks up to Jesus on the crucifix and says, here, Jesus, what do you want for Easter? And there's Jesus stuck on the cross, looks down and says, well, you know, to be honest, a pair of pliers would be useful. Christian walks up to Jesus and says, what are you doing up there? And Jesus says, just hanging around. I was thinking of getting a cross and sticking in these, getting a crucifix with Jesus nailed to it, right? Stick it in the back garden, use it as a scarecrow. Pope dies and goes to hell. Only to find the devil waiting for him. He walks up to the devil and says, here, Lucifer, I just spent 70 years praying to Jesus. Why didn't I go to heaven? And the devil just laughs and says, well, where the fuck do you think you've been all your life? How many Christians did it take to change a light bulb? How many Christians did it take to change a light bulb? One to plug it in, and the rest to wait for God to turn on the light. I mean, these computers, they're not as good as fucking analog television, are they? But I suppose it'll do as a method of communication for now. But, you know, I'd still rather have an analog television. I don't like these digital TVs. I like the computer, I just don't like the digital TVs. The main advantage I find with a computer is that the pages don't get stuck together anymore. So that's the main advantage of a computer, I suppose, is the pages don't get stuck together anymore. Mind you, it doesn't have to take an hour or two to clean up the keyboard after a wank. I don't know. Did I ever tell you the one about the Arab kleptomaniac who got arrested for stealing a pair of socks? Judge slams down his hammer and says, well, what the fuck did you go and steal a pair of bloody socks for? And the Arab kleptomaniac, he lifts up his stumps and says, well, to be honest with you, I didn't have much use for a pair of gloves. Why did God create religion? To give comedians something to talk about. I don't know. I had a bad case of rising damp at my local church, you know. Not so long ago. Vicar looks at the crack in the wall and says, looks at the hole, looks at the damp, you know, on the wall and says, well, at least the cracks are drying out. And our Mother Superior shrugs her shoulders and says, I know exactly how they feel, dear. Mother Superior walks into a nunnery, stands in front of the congregation and says, sisters, how many lesbians are there here? And they all bow their heads. Everyone in the congregation bows their heads. The Mother Superior shrugs her shoulders and says, none! And everybody puts their hand up. I don't know. April Fool's Day, isn't it? Tomorrow. Not a lot to laugh at in this world, is there, these days? You know, I've been watching all this end of the world nonsense. Have you seen it on this YouTube? You know, like the end of the world, 2012, because, you know, 100 birds fall from the sky. I think, what, 100 birds fell from the sky? Well, it means it's the end of the world, does it? Yeah. 50 seals got washed up on the thing. Oh, must be the end of the world. Excuse me, where were you for the last 30 years, man? Where have you been for the last 25 years? You think it's the end of the world because 100 birds fall from the sky. Where the fuck have you been for the last 25 years, man? Do you remember 25 years ago, 23 years ago, or etc.? Do you remember AIDS? You ever heard of AIDS? HIV? You ever heard of a disease called HIV? Man, 20 years ago, everyone was dropping down dead in the bloody street on the marches. I used to go on these gay pride marches and people were dropping down dead on them. You know what I mean? You want the end of the world? You should have been here 20 years ago. Said you're waiting for the end of the world? You should have been here 20 years ago. Bloody millions of people dropping down dead from fucking AIDS. Used to go down the pub every week, and every week there was another empty chair. Said, oh, where's Bob tonight? Oh, he died. Oh, right. A week later, someone else was missing. Where's Jack tonight? Oh, he snuffed it. Or where's Terry tonight? Oh, he fucking committed suicide, didn't he? You know what I mean? Fucking hell, you want the end of the world? You should have been here 20 years ago, man. I think you missed the apocalypse. Have you ever seen the AIDS quilt? You ever heard of the AIDS quilt, have you? Well, I think you've actually missed the apocalypse, if that's what you're waiting for. If you're still waiting for the fucking apocalypse, so you're about 20 years too late, mate. I think we had a bloody apocalypse, don't you? Ever so slightly. I bet you they don't teach it in history, though. You think about it, right? AIDS was the worst fucking disease on this planet since the bubonic plague, isn't it? It's the most serious epidemic on this planet since the fucking bubonic plague, isn't it? Right? No one batted an eyelid outside, did they? They act like it never fucking happened, don't they, outside? You know? No big deal. No, it wasn't to you, maybe. Maybe your friends are still alive. You can't. That was the biggest fucking epidemic, right? AIDS, HIV. That was the biggest fucking worldwide epidemic since the bubonic fucking plague. You know, I bet you they don't even teach about it in history. I wonder if they teach history at school. Do they teach history at school? I wonder if they cover AIDS in schools. Bloody should do. There's still apparently a lot of people getting HIV, catching AIDS. There's still a lot of people catching AIDS apparently, so I read in the newspaper. Because they don't wear condoms. I mean, you know, they do all this bareback riding on these videos, you know, and stuff. Because there's no sex education probably in schools. I wonder if they've even heard of the AIDS quilt. You ever heard of Steve Moore? No, I don't suppose you have. The thing is, the problem today is that you've just destroyed 100 years of history, haven't you? You've computerized the television. You've computerized the television. Destroyed the analog television, which was three-dimensional, by the way. If you ever had an analog television and you ever watched the Muppet Show if you ever watched the Muppet Show, you ever heard of the Muppet Show? If you ever watched the Muppet Show on an analog television, it was three-dimensional. We had 3D TV 30 years ago, man! On analog? Yes, we fucking did. Watch the bloody Muppet Show on analog television. Not on this computer, because I was watching the Magic Roundabout, actually. I was watching the Magic Roundabout on the computer not so long ago, and the picture looks so flat. Yet if you watch the Magic Roundabout on analog, you'll also see that the Magic Roundabout was three-dimensional. You can see Dougal coming through the trees on analog, but you can't do that on the fucking computers. You ain't, I mean, you know, you think you're so advanced with your computers. Would you believe me if I told you? I mean, I collected videos, right? I collected videos for 30 years. 30 years. Collected VHS videos for 30 years, right? Collecting history for 30 odd years, collecting films on VHS video. I spent 17 years making films on V8 video. Then what do? You destroy the fucking video recorder. You destroy the fucking video camera and replace it with a computerized camera. So you can't buy analog. You can't buy V8 cameras anymore. They won't sell V8 cameras anymore. Because you won't make V8 cameras anymore. It's all digitalized cameras like this shit. Right? And they won't sell fucking analog televisions anymore. It's all got to be computerized, digitized shite. By the way, if you had trouble, when they changed the analog signal to a computer signal, if you had trouble connecting your video after that, because I did, because it cut off the whole aerial signal, didn't it? Get a SCART socket. Use the SCART socket. You can still SCART socket a video into an analog television. If you've still got an analog television, you still use a SCART socket to connect the video. So that's worth knowing. Anyway. So I mean, you've just destroyed the VHS. You've destroyed the fucking television, the analog television, haven't you? You know, computerized every goddamn thing in the world, haven't you? You've completely computerized the whole fucking world, haven't you? You've actually destroyed 100 years of Hollywood. Did you know it is, in fact, 100 years of Hollywood? Do you know Hollywood is, in fact, 100 years old? It's true. Hollywood is, well, it's about 99 years old or something. But you've just, by computerizing television, you have thrown away 100 years of fucking films. You've basically destroyed 100 years of history. You remind me of fucking Adolf Hitler, mate. You're like the fucking book burners, destroying history. You have just burnt the entire 20th century, haven't you? You've computerized everything. Everything's computerized. You've just destroyed the entire 20th century. 100 years of Hollywood down the fucking drain. And you think you're free? You think this is a free world? My God, you Adolf Hitler's bum boy. Kissing Adolf Hitler's arse. Did you kiss Adolf Hitler's arsehole? Video. We've only had video for about 30 years. You know, we've only had analog television for 57 years or something. Last, 55 years or something. No, 58, 52. No, 59 years. I think you've had TV for about 59 years. Yeah. You've just destroyed it. You've destroyed the analog television. You've destroyed the record player. You destroyed the video. There's no bloody history left. Go down your fucking video shop and see how many films you can buy. You know how many films were made in the 20th century? Hundreds of thousands of millions of films. Millions and millions of films have been thrown away because you want everything fucking computerized. The only reason I'm using this computer is to get my fucking VHS back. Mind you, it's good for communication, I suppose, but you've got to keep your head still. The picture goes a bit juddery, doesn't it? Mind you, it's only a £5 webcam, so it gives a fuck. Anyway, I'm Bill. Don't know who the fuck you are, and to be honest, I really don't care. So you're still waiting for God, huh? And where is this God of yours? Up in heaven still? Or are you in the shit? Is he really up there? Is he really? How long are you going to wait? Forever? Waiting for what? Waiting to die? You can spend your whole life waiting for tomorrow, and all you will end up with are 1,000,000 wasted yesterdays. So if you spend your entire life waiting for tomorrow, then all you will have are 1,000,000 wasted yesterdays. Anyway, I've got not much to say anyway. Happy April Fool's Day, I guess. Just thought I'd get the fucking thing out while I like to get the thing out occasionally, Anyway, so how's your life? Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying the 21st century? Did you know, by the way, this year is also the 45th anniversary of Star Trek? Did you know that this is in fact the 45th anniversary of Star Trek? I had some bad news yesterday, by the way. I heard some bad news on the YouTube. I only just found out that Scott is dead, man. I just found out that Scotty is dead. Scott is dead. Bones is dead. Dr. Chapel's dead. There's only about 5 of them left now, isn't there? There's Captain Kirk still alive. Admiral Kirk's still alive. Uhura's still alive. Walter Koenig's still alive. Chekhov, he's still alive. And Sulu, I think, is just about alive still. There's only about 1, 2, 3, 4 of the original crew left now, isn't it? 4 or 5 of the original crew left now. And they've just remade Star Trek, so they've just thrown away the entire history of Star Trek. You know what I mean? Star Trek's only 45 years old, and they've already remade Star Trek. Why don't you just watch the fucking videos, man? If you want the old Star Trek, or watch Deep Space Nine or Voyager, or watch one of my fucking channels. I've made loads. I've come up with a few ideas here and there. Anyway, that's about all I was going to say. Nothing much else to say. It's not the end of the world, but it could well be the end of history, the way things are going, because you've just destroyed history, haven't you? You've destroyed the video, you've destroyed the television. In fact, you've basically destroyed the music industry as well. I mean, what are all these fucking rock stars doing these days, huh? How many rock stars are on television these days? It's bugger all music on television ever since they cancelled Top of the Pops, because they cancelled Top of the Pops, so there's they cancelled all the music. There's bugger all music on television. The radios play the same shit every fucking day. There's no real, sort of new music on telly these days. It's a load of boring crap on your television. Hospital programs and fucking boring mediocre soap operas, how to kill yourself or something, I don't know. By the way, depression is not an illness, by the way. I'm going to say that again. Depression is not an illness. Depression is an emotion. The